guys, this is going to be part 10 of the i240 restoration. We've now got jacking points, they've just been delivered, along with another pair of chassis rails, another pair of swan neck covers and a couple of other bits and bobs. So we decided we're going to use the new stock that's just arrived on the chassis rail. Actually fits better than the one we previously had on there. Now, just to show you this, I don't know if you can see that, this is actually quite a ways out here. All this needs dollying back, all this needs dollying down, all this needs reshaping, all down the edges here, same again down here. And then we're going to tie this section to this section of the inner A post to make it nice and strong. Once we've got this in place, then we can start to lay our chassis rail over it, get this fastened down, and then we can start moving on into the swan neck cover. So I'll get some shaping done on this. I'll be back in a mo. So what I've got to do here, guys, I've got to knock a couple of ribs down this floor plan, unfortunately. Again, these aftermarket panels don't fit particularly well. So you just got to do what you've got to do and make them fit. So we're getting these somewhere near now. We've flattened out all these edges, flattened out all these edges, flattened out these edges. Once this is tacked in, we'll then dollar this floor back up against this to get this all nice and tight. We're getting somewhere near there now. It's getting a lot better than it was. So we'll crack on with this, give this a bit more of a beat and a knock, get it a bit more straight, and then we'll start to get some tacks on and then lay this over the top. Okay, so we've got that in. We've got a bit of primer on there because we are going to lay our chassis rail over the top of that, so we want to make sure that's protected. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to take our chassis rail, take it over to the bench. Now we're going to use our hole punch. And we're going to run holes all the way down this edge there using this. So then when we press this down and we get it in place, we can then spot weld, plug weld this in all the way down both sides. So we'll get them in and then we'll try it on and see how it fits. Right, so we've got all our holes punched in there now. Well, let's go, try it on the car. See there, that fits pretty well now. We did have to trim little bits out of these edges earlier on just to make those fit nice and tight against this jacking point. That's now sat down nice and tight. We'll start to get a couple of spot welds in and we'll dolly this down a little bit, and we'll also dolly the floor back up to this just so it's nice and tight, everything's in. We'll also plug weld it in both ends and in the top there, and that should be plenty strong enough. So let's start getting this welded in. Right guys, so we got our jacking point on, bit of primer on there, just down here, and obviously some primer underneath where this panel's gone, because once this is on, obviously we won't be able to get to that again. We've now plug welded this in, that's all now ground back and in line, and I'm now going to work on this section here. We've made our cuts from the previous video when we actually lined these up and shown you the way we scribed these and cut them out. So I've now made them cuts. I'm going to lay this panel on here and see how it fits. You probably want a little bit of chopping, banging around still. Oh, should be somewhere near. As you can see now, this is now butted up. It's no longer overlapping. Again, we still need to do something with this hole. It's a little bit nearer now. Now we've cut this out and this panel's dropped slightly, but it's still a bit of a ways out that, so we'll start to get into this section here now. We'll pop our holes in here just as we did with the last section. Once we've got them holes in, start to get some tacks on it, start to get it laid in, get it all welded up. Got the majority of this now secured with welds. Got Kevin here going to start chopping crap stuff out of this. He's going to now fabricate this piece, filler panel to join this jacking point to the inner A post. Got Tom over there prepping the rear of the car for the next stage, getting all this nasty stuff off in there, all that under seal off, cleaning it all up so it all looks like this nice stuff. Got Tom to thank for the car looking nice and shiny. He's done all the stripping on this one. So we'll let Kevin make this bit. I'm going to crack on getting this fully welded in, tidying it up a bit. 3 of us on the car today, so hopefully we can get some good progress. Half a day in. Let's see what we can get done. Just tidying up these welds a little bit here now. We've made this little patch here. This is going to go in that way. It's going to slot underneath there, underneath this section here. So I'll go in there like that, but sit in that position, something like that. And then what we do is we weld this to this and that to that. So then all the strength is in that. That's not something what comes from the factory, but it's just how we like to do it, so we know it's nice and strong. So that's going to go in there like that, and we're going to weld all this in. That's going to be absolutely solid. Once that's done, Kevin's then going to turn his attention to this section that we've now got to make, fabricate. Luckily I do have some templates for these that might help if you're in this little box here. Pull them out of there please, Kev. They really hurt them as well, by the way, when the belts snap. Someone's about to find out in a minute, I think. Never know, I might get that on camera. I'll show you a little bit of what Tom's been up to. While Kevin's opening them templates, I'll show you them in a minute. If anybody wants a copy of them, I can have these copied and sent out to you if it's something you think you'll use. So Tom's been going at it in here. Ooh, getting all this horrible under seal off, and he'll now clean all this up and get it all nice and shiny like the rest of the car. We may get round to chopping this sill off today if we can get the sill on the other side first. So back to these templates. So these are really handy to have. I don't know if you can actually see these on the camera very well. We've got the actual inners and the outers for these, which gives us the shapes we need to make these sections up. So hopefully we can utilise these. Hopefully we can utilise these to make our covers and shapes out of, which should be really handy. Save a lot of messing about. So we're going to get to this now. I'm going to start to mock this sill up. I'm going to leave Tom cracking on over there. We're back in a bit. Right, so we've got our piece welded in there. That's all now nice and strong. So that means we can start working into this sill now. This is all in. Kevin's going to start to make some patches up for here. This is going to have to be done in 3 pieces.
So start with a bit of thick paper. All I'm going to do is get an approximate size. So what I want to do is form this into a channel. I'll obviously cut out a piece of steel, form it into a channel, and I've obviously made it overlong. Then as I slide this up, this piece will need shrinking back this edge while stretching to form that curve that way. So I'll get it in the shrinker stretcher and stretch that flange to give it a curve, and then once that bit's made, then I'll turn my attention to making this closing panel, which will fit into here. I don't think we'll bother putting the fillet piece in because it will just give an extra area to catch water, I suppose. Be better off just seam sealing it as it is. Now it's all fully sealed.
Just going to form rust. So this is going to be a 3-piece panel. Like I said, we're going to get the rough size of this, stretch that out, get it into a nice curved shape, roll the edges over to form that nice rolled edge there, and then we'll put another finishing piece in this side, and same again on that side, finishing piece in there. So we'll start doing that now.
We'll get that section, turn into a piece of steel, then I'll start to roll these edges over like this to make this the same, well, as close as possible to the same curvature of that on these edges, and like I say, stretch that edge to give us that curve that way. your stretcher jaws, and as you can see at the end here, what it does is it will grip the material and force it apart. So what we need is a curve for the chassis, this bit here. What I'm going to do is put it in there, open it up, put it in as far as possible, give it a couple of them, do the other side,
starting to form a nice shape into the steel.
start in the middle. Give it a little bit of a curve. I'm going to check that on the car, see if that's enough. I have to give this bit a bit more stretching, I'd say. In fact, let's get it now, because I think it does. A little bit more on the edge. These are fairly cheap machines, they're about 100 quid-ish, and they come with this set of shrinker jaws, which are keeping keep it away from the rubbish. Okay.
I'm going to try this on the car now, see what kind of fitment we get. See if we need to shrink it back a bit or stretch it out a little bit more to get a bit more of a curve on there. See how this lines up. Pretty damn good for a first shot, not a million miles out. Just we've got to trim this back, we're just getting the shape right at this point. As we said before, we'll take this layer off and we'll continue a nice piece up here to finish that off both sides. So we'll start to dolly this out a little bit, make it a little bit tighter, and then we will start to cut it to size, get these side panels mocked up.
I'll just take that off. I'm just going to dolly these edges as well. Might need a little bit of a shrink that actually. Just a little bit long. See how we go.
Back to the bench. Pretty good now, pretty good shape, what we need. So, move on to the next bit. So a little trick we use here, guys, is basically with a piece of paper cut to a rough size. As you can see here, we've got our edges that we need to weld to. So with this piece of paper, we place that on. Obviously, you're wearing gloves. Gloves in this kind of job do get dirty. So with that dirty glove, rub these edges all the way around, and that'll give you, as you can see there, the shape that you need to cut out to form this panel. So then what we'll do, we'll cut this template out. That'll butt us up to these edges. Once we've cut that out, then we need to follow this edge here, put a piece in this, and obviously follow this chassis rail then around here into this corner. We'll then take this top plate back off. Once these side pieces are made, we'll then weld all this into one piece, prep it all properly, clean it all, prime it inside, and then this will become one panel that will then slot straight in there, and then we can butt weld it all in, flat it all back nice and tidy. There you go, that's been cut out now, as you can see.
Just need to do
Up in there. Just need to get this bottom end sorted out. A simple little trick for you there, guys, nice and easy, works a treat. Right, so we've finally got our patch made up. It took quite a while to make this, there's some awkward angles involved in that. So that's all now fabbed up, fits pretty well. We've got a return edge on it where we can spot weld this now onto the top of the chassis rail there. So that should tie in nicely. Plonk that in. Clips in, should go in nice and tight. All the way into there. And then that edge there is where we can spot weld it in. This is going to be our folded up edge that will tap into this corner, and then we'll grind this edge flat once we've got all these spot welds in and make it all nice and tidy. But yeah, pretty happy with that. It's a nice patch gone in there. Obviously wants a bit of poking and knocking and dollying, but overall, for something we've knocked up, that's pretty good. So we're going to get this tacked in now. So what we're going to do now, we're going to get these spot weld clamps. You can see over the top there. These are brilliant for squeezing the panels together. They clamp on there like that. Folds your two skins together and leaves your hole for you to get a nice little spot weld into. Right, so we've got this patch all tacked in. It's all butted up, it's all nice and tight all the way around, both sides. We've got our spot welds in, it's nice and tight up here. We've made a return flange there, which will be pushed into that corner and welded in. As we said again in the previous video, these are handed. This is the wrong side because you only get a pair for that side, so we have had to do a hell of a lot of fabrication work on this one to get it to fit. Hopefully that side won't be as bad because it is the correct size, so it should be the correct shape. So we shouldn't have to, you know, make as much fabrication on that side. So that's going to be it for tonight. I'll give you a quick walk around the car, show you where we're up to so far. So this is all done now. Jacking points in. We've got the chassis rail in. Inner sills all done. This patch here has been done. Floor pans in. We've done the strengthening patch for the inner A post. All this is done down here. This rear floor pan's been done. All the inner sills been done. We've trimmed the bottom section of this rear wheel arch off because the sill cover is going to replace that section, which will then obviously come all the way up here. And we just need to make a finishing plate for the back of here once that sill's on. So that arch went in pretty well. Still only tacked at the moment. Again, this is all butt welded up, all nice and tight. There's no overlaying going on here. So we will come back to this probably once we've got the sill on. I'll start to get this rear quarter section in before I go ahead and seam this up, because I don't want any of this to move. As you can see, there's still quite a lot of flex in that. So once I put this rear quarter section in, that'll strengthen this panel a little bit and hopefully prevent it from moving. So we'll leave that be for now. We'll come back to that. We have done a bit more cleaning up, as you can see there. The underside of the car now is looking pretty good. Just this corner, this side here now really to clean up. We'll get to that probably tomorrow. Again, there's no point going into this too far and cleaning this spare wheel well up, because that is coming out. So this point is cleaning that when it's getting chopped out. Anyway, all this rear quarter has been cleaned back. This is going to be chopped out. Again, sill's not been cleaned because all that's coming out. This inner wing and A-post finishing panel has all been cleaned up. This is really good. All this is coming out. So yeah, pretty happy with that. Seems like not a lot of progress for quite a lot of time, but things like this do take quite a while, particularly when you're doing chassis rails. You've got to make sure these things are right. So that's going to be it for tonight. We'll see you on the next one.